Another body has been discovered, and the details are even more disturbing than anyone expected. The news has left people asking the same question over and over again. How is it possible that no one has been arrested yet? We're talking about bodies turning up in cars linked to the same circle of people, bizarre coincidences that don't add up, and a trail of details that point to something darker than anyone first imagined. But before we get into the most chilling parts, let's start with the shocking discovery that changed everything. The case surrounding Celeste was already tragic and confusing, but what came next turned it into something out of a nightmare. On the very same day her body was found, police discovered another set of remains. Yes, two women, two different cars, and both linked by eerie similarities. The first discovery was in a Tesla with Texas plates, towed into a Hollywood lot. A foul odor led investigators to open the trunk, and inside was a woman's body in a state of severe decomposition. This wasn't a case of someone recently passing. When officials say severely decomposed, that often means weeks, sometimes even months. The woman was small in stature, wearing a tube top and leggings, with black wavy hair and gold jewelry still on her body. But one detail stood out immediately: a tattoo on her finger spelling out "shh." And that's when things took a twisted turn, because that tattoo wasn't random. Celeste had the same marking on her finger. David had it too. But here's the disturbing part. The body in the Tesla was missing that exact finger. Think about that. A tattoo shared between Celeste and David, suddenly showing up on another woman, only for that same finger to be removed. Coincidence? Or a message? Some say it's symbolic, maybe even ritualistic. Others believe it points to a pattern, a sign that this wasn't random, but connected. And whether or not the missing finger was meant to cover up an identification or to send a message, the connection is too strange to ignore. But that wasn't the only bizarre discovery that day. As if finding one body wasn't enough, a second car turned up with a second victim. This time, it was a burned Honda Civic, left sitting in another tow yard. Family members of the missing woman had tracked the vehicle through GPS, and only then did investigators check inside. What they found was another set of remains. Again, female. Again, disturbing details. Now here's where people start to question everything. Two different women, two different cars, found on the very same day. And yet authorities have insisted they don't believe the cases are connected. But how could they not be? A Tesla belonging to David, a burned out Honda Civic carrying another victim, both appearing at the same time in the same city under equally suspicious circumstances. For most people, that doesn't scream coincidence. It screams cover-up, or something being buried deeper than the public is supposed to see. And what makes this even harder to understand is how law enforcement handled it. Instead of swift arrests, instead of urgent public warnings, the response was quiet, too quiet. Investigators didn't find the woman in the Honda Civic until the family themselves pushed to have the car checked. Firefighters had even put out the blaze days earlier, but never looked inside. How does that happen? Then there's the Tesla, a car linked directly to David. Authorities only opened it after someone complained of the smell. Think about that. If the car hadn't reeked, would anyone have ever checked? The silence from officials is fueling more speculation than answers. People are asking, if these aren't connected, then why is so much being overlooked? And if they are connected, then why hasn't anyone been brought in for questioning, let alone charged? But maybe the strangest part isn't even what the police did. It's how David himself reacted. Imagine this. The authorities tell you a body was found decomposing in your car. Most people would react with shock, horror, or at least confusion. But not David. He stayed calm. Too calm. His response was that he was cooperating fully. Cooperating with what? People online have pointed out that there was no disbelief, no outrage, no visible emotion at all. And when you look at his past, that flat reaction seems less surprising. Because David has a long history of glorifying dark and disturbing things. He openly admitted an obsession with gore content, so much so that he once said he had to stop himself from watching because of how deep it pulled him in. His song, Romantic Homicide, romanticized the idea of death itself. On tour, he reportedly traveled with a coffin as a stunt, dragging it into hotels for shock value. This isn't someone who sees death the way most people do. For him, it's been aestheticized, performed, turned into art. And when you put all of that next to what's happening now, the question becomes impossible to ignore. Was this just a sick coincidence? Or the result of someone taking their obsessions too far? And the answer might lie in a chilling theory. When investigators look at killers who finally get caught, they often say the same thing. The mistakes pile up when confidence takes over. Either it's someone's first time, they don't know how to cover their tracks, they act sloppy. Or it's someone who's done it before, gotten away with it, and finally became careless. So which one is it here? On one hand, the Tesla and Honda Civic could point to someone who didn't plan things through. Bodies left in cars. A fire that didn't destroy all evidence. A trail that seems almost obvious. On the other hand, leaving bodies like this could also come from arrogance. The kind of confidence that builds when someone has gotten away with it more than once. And if that's the case, then what we're seeing now may just be the first glimpse of a much larger pattern. But if that possibility sounds terrifying, what people are saying about Celeste's final days is even worse. According to rumors spreading across social media, Celeste may not have passed quickly. Some claim she endured days, maybe even weeks of torment before her final moments. Theories suggest she was trapped in something resembling a horror film, with details eerily similar to Saw or Silence of the Lambs. Now, none of this has been officially confirmed, but the speculation alone paints a disturbing picture. And when people piece together David's obsession with gore, the coffin stunts, and his lyrics, the puzzle starts to form an image that's hard to look away from. If Celeste's last days were anything close to what's being suggested, then this wasn't just a crime of passion or a sudden outburst. It was deliberate, it was prolonged, and it was terrifying. Here's the bottom line. 2 women were found on the same day in suspiciously similar circumstances, one connected directly to David's Tesla, another in a burned-out Honda Civic. Both female, both with details too strange to dismiss. And yet, no arrests, no charges, no official answers. Authorities say they don't believe the cases are linked, but the public isn't buying it. Why hasn't David been charged when a body was found in his own car? Why were firefighters able to put out a blaze and walk away without even checking inside the vehicle? And how do you explain the missing finger, the tattoo connection, and the eerie timing of both discoveries? Every new detail adds another layer of mystery, and yet the silence grows louder. This case has become one of the most baffling and disturbing stories in recent memory. 2 women gone, shocking discoveries, and a main suspect who seems more unbothered than anyone can understand. Was this a sloppy first attempt, or the sign of a serial pattern waiting to be uncovered? We may not have all the answers yet, but one thing is clear. The story is only getting darker. And if the details that have already surfaced are this disturbing, what's waiting to come out next could be far worse. We'll be following every update as this unfolds. But now I want to know what you think. Is this a case of terrible coincidence, or do you believe something much more sinister is being hidden from the public? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, because this story is far from over.